we agree on a lot of things. Maybe a little bit of a disagreement on opening, like keeping records sealed
Right.
occasionally and that, but for the most part, we agree. Except it sounds like you won't do what I do, and that is purchase a rare record, a record I love that is an absolute garbage condition. I am willing to do
Yep.
that.
Can't
Like,
do
for
it.
example, this is an early press Black Sabbath Paranoid. Look at that cover. No one's saying this cover's in good shape, you know?
Now the cover, I don't care. Like the cover can be a little trashed, and I'm fine with it. But
But that's
if
garbage,
the vinyl's
right? You can't,
trashed, yeah,
vinyl's not good. I mean, yes, I could theoretically play it, but I might as well just listen to my CD or something, right?
right.
All right, well, here's one then. Like
But
this
yeah,
this
oh,
is one this is another one that I actually trashed somewhat, but this is a good example. This is a rare record. Hawkwind in Search of Space, 1974, UK prog rock,
God.
and this version on top of that is particularly rare because it opens from the center
Oh,
and kind of creates sort of the Hawkwind logo that existed at the time. So you can see it's just kind of
that's yeah.
hot shit, except this thing is so trashed. No collector is going to be buying this version of this record for their collection, right? So,
Right. See,
so
and,
I'm
and
willing to buy that, though. I would see this and I would be like, I'm buying In Search of Space on Hawkwind, even if it is
well,
garbage.
I would something like that. I would really have an internal struggle with myself because something like that. If I would see that, that's probably the only time I'm ever going to see that anywhere. Yeah, but see, I still don't know if I could buy it in that condition, though.
Yeah, you can't listen to it. It's
hurts me.
disappointing. It does hurt a little bit. This is one. This is the most hurtful one for me. And what had me put this one on the list. I have an original Verve 1967 press of the Mothers of Invention, absolutely free. This is an incredible rare record, an incredible classic record of Frank Zappa's.
Oh,
The
yeah.
album, you could see, though, it was a cutout, right? You could see the cutout on it. So that's one thing. But in the,
Which, I mean,
the
that's
jacket
fine.
is pretty trashed. But look at this. I mean, this is, split down the side.
Yeah.
It's just, you can see, look at that record. It's just
yeah.
unplayable. I bought it anyway. And I think I even paid like $15 for it because I wanted it so bad. And
that hurts deeply, though.
That does hurt. So you wouldn't do that. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't. No.
Right.
No, I don't think I could. I mean, unless it was something like, see, I can't even think of an example of something that I would.
How about this one then? This is another. This is probably my last or second to last. Alice Cooper, School's Out, original pressing vinyl. Okay, well, this got released a million times. Yes, but
does it have the panties with it, though?
It does not. It does, however, have the fold-out school desk.
Oh, yeah. See, and on most of those, that is like ripped where you can't even use the desk.
So it's got the thing where the desk comes out, the thing opens up. You're right. This would be wrapped in a pair of like kind of fake underwear.
Yeah.
That they sold it in. This does not have that. And the record, not in great shape either. Playable. But you can get it, there's enough scratches in that it's just not a wonderful experience. But
it's not great. But see, I have never seen that where the desk actually works still, because usually those desk legs come off.
Yeah.
So see, now that one I might have broke my rule for, maybe just because the desk actually worked on it.
For me, it was cheap enough, and I wanted to just see if I could put the desk together or something. I thought it might make good content, if nothing else. So
right. Well, yeah.
And then the other two, I guess I would just to round out. I've got a early Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, that is basically unlistenable. And just recently, this past year, I finally purchased Public Enemy: Fear of a Black Planet. And I absolutely love this album. But this, you can see the ringwear on the side and that. It's just, clearly this was someone who listened to a lot of rap records back in the day and just wore it out, and it ended up in a bin, and I purchased it from there. So.
Yeah, but I'm okay with ringwear though, because any album early 80s and later or earlier, it's probably going to have ring wear unless somebody had the album and like never played it or took extremely good care of their collections. Which, let's be honest, how many of us back in the day actually took care of our records?
Yeah.
Like, like now we have inner and outer sleeves that you may or may not use. I know that's another show we could do.
Yeah, well, definitely. Although I think we already have our answer. You and I are both using the exact same setup for everything.
Yep.
So I think we've already got our pick.
Yeah, it's kind of funny on that, but yeah. So, but like back in the day, like we didn't, and then they had those horrible paper inner sleeves that I cringe every time I think about those. But so anything like most of the stuff that I buy that's like 70s, it all has ringwear, which I'm fine with ringwear because you're not like, or if you do find that like the original, I have well, it's like an original, but it's like the second printing of my Black Sabbath Paranoid is actually a second printing original.
Yeah.
It's got some pretty, I can't find it right now, but it's got some pretty bad ringwear, but the record was in really good shape. So I'm like,
there's something about
am I ever going to find this again?
In Black Sabbath Paranoid in particular, there's something about the earlier pressings that I've listened to, because I grew up listening to my dad's record of that back in the day, and I've probably bought that album 7 times, 8 times, and I tend to find that even though the earlier records are in worse condition, there's something about the sound of it that must have changed in future pressings, because it has kind of a raw, warm, organic sound in some of those earlier pressings that I just don't hear in later pressings.
Probably the one example I could actually think of is my copy of Led Zeppelin 2, which I don't know if you can see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's
got
not
some edgeware anyway.
It's got edgeware.
Yeah.
But the only reason why I bought this in that condition, and the vinyl was actually not bad. It's got a little bit of, I don't know if you can see that. I cleaned it up, but there's a little bit of scratches. The only reason why I bought this one in this condition, which is not that horrible of condition, this is a Robert Ludwig hot mix. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you know what that is or not.
Only kind of.
Okay.
Tell me, what is the hot mix of Led Zeppelin 2 from Bob Ludwig?
Yes,
you have the Ludwig drum fame, and also Led Zeppelin recording. You got to record Led Zeppelin fame.
Yes. Robert Ludwig, very famous record producer, and he's the one that cuts all of the records. He did the original mix of this Led Zeppelin 2. The band loved it. The Atlantic pressed it. The Atlantic president at the time, I can't remember who the president of Atlantic was at the time, took one of the first copies home to his daughter. His daughter put it on her little cheap record player, like back in the 70s, we all had those cheap record players. And it skipped. It jumped. It was pressed so hot and so loud, it was literally making the stylus go like this.
Okay.
And he freaked out. And he's like, stop this, recall all these, pull these out now. We can't, I can't have a record release that's going to make record players skip. So they recut the album and it stopped that. But like the album used to be like very high and crisp and bright here. Now, like they cut it to where it's down here to where it wouldn't jump. If you listen to that, is the most amazing sound. Earlier on in one of our first episodes, I said I wasn't an audiophile. That's as close as I'm going to get to an audiophile. If you listen to that and you listen to any other mix of that, you're going to be blown away by how good that sounds.
I'm going to check that out now. That's really interesting. I've never heard that.
And that's actually, I think that's something kind of foreshadowing for a future episode. I think we're going to talk about the most amount of money we'd ever spend on anything.
Yep.
I won't say it here. I'll save it for that episode, but that's the most amount I've ever paid for a record.
Okay.
And it's just because it was the Robert Ludwig. And like I said, and actually that's not too bad of shape. Usually they're in worse shape than that, but they still go for hot money because they were recalled. So unless you were lucky enough to buy it right when it first came out, and most of those copies are trash because everybody listened to their record. They didn't think about, oh, I'm going to buy this and just keep it sealed for 60 years, and then I'll be able to sell this for like a crap load of money in the future. But
you can buy a whole bag of weed with the amount of money you're going to sell on that bag from that record.
Exactly.